magic wand, I just only because of the resources it taps into, I say we're done with it altogether, because it's just, you know, it's costing us a fortune to chase these things. Because we don't know, if someone said that, we don't know, we get, you know, people calling it gunshots. They're not gunshots. That's a different complaint than a fireworks complaint, but we still have to answer that complaint. Even if it's fireworks, we still have to answer that complaint. You know, it's a big county. State police have, you know, like I said, we split it 50-50 with state police, so they're in here 50% of the time, we're in here 50% of the time.
And I still would urge people to contact their legislators. It can't hurt, and maybe.
No, I guarantee you, they'd be setting off by their house, they'd have a different feeling about it.
Right.
Not there tonight.
So can I ask for some resolution here tonight?
I'd like to make a motion that we have John look into doing a town ordinance that specifies that we not fire fireworks in the city limits, town limits. And see if we can get that passed. And if someone does, we call in a disorderly conduct complaint and see who comes. You know, the thing of it is, what's going to happen is police are going to be answering one of these friggin' calls, and someone's going to be in an accident and lying dead on the side of the, or dying on the side of the road. And they're going to be answering one of these complaints, and that's a sin.
It is a sin, and it's a sin not to be able to have, you know, if I say public safety, it's a sin if a house goes up in flames and you lose people
Right.
because of that. So,
You know, another thing we could do, Jean, too, I think, is maybe as a town, get something in writing and pass it around to every homeowner and say, look, if you light a firework off and it burns your next door neighbor's house, you are responsible.
great thought, great thought.
But I don't think these people realize that, because they're not caring, they're carefree, sorry, Mike, you know, and they're not caring, but they're responsible.
I wanted to qualify why I said no to your resolution, because it can't be decided right tonight. And
I
sending around a survey to get people's opinion is part of the time process. You know, we all wish we had magic wands that we could just solve the problem, ding, but it doesn't work that way. It's going to be 2 more meetings at least. Send out a survey, see what people say, look at some other ordinances in town. Yes, let's go through the motions of crafting an ordinance, and let's have it make sense.
I like what you said though, truly, if you had something and that each homeowner had to sign on whatever it is because, you know, they pay taxes, then maybe your insurance would understand too, because there is a liability issue here on the town. And I'm sure your insurance company would like to know that you're taking these positive steps to hold people accountable.
One more thing I want to say too, as much as my officers have probably kept my throat telling you, keep calling it in, because that creates a record for us. And somewhere down the road, when you try to present this to legislation, you can say, well, the sheriff's office and the state police, I mean, handled this many fireworks complaints in this amount of time, and this, you know, and we can actually, you know, it figures out for us about $50 an hour per complaint. So I mean, if you takes an hour, it's $50. So we can put that together and say, this is what it's costing the county of Washington to answer fireworks complaints. And that's what I said. I mean, don't, you know, call them in, keep calling them in, and we'll answer them, and we'll keep, and once they're called in, there's a record of that. And I think that's going to be very important going down the road to have some teeth and say, this is breaking the bank.
I agree, and I think contacting your legislature, they're going to get tired of hearing from all of us. And when they do consider this again, maybe they'll do as some of the other states have banned it.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no reason for people to have fireworks privately. I mean, you have public displays, that's good, that's fine, but for people to be standing out there throwing them.
I brought this up, Mr. Chuck, I mean, what gets me is if you read this law, and the fire chief was there that night, and I said, if I come to you tonight, and the wind's blowing 30, 40 miles an hour, do I get fined from it? He goes, absolutely not. But yet you can still shoot off fireworks. I mean, where was the legislature when they created this? I mean, you know, you can be intoxicated.
Oh, yeah.
That's okay.
Most times they are, believe me.
Yes.
Is there a better number than 911?
Yeah, if you remember it, but don't worry about dialing 911, because what's gonna happen is if you call 911 and they'll tell you, well, really, this isn't an emergency, you may think it is, don't worry about that. They'll say, please call back on this number, but 255-8308, 4422, and then it goes into voicemail, and it sends you to extension 17 or 21, but if you can't remember any of those numbers, 911, the operator will say, listen, this really isn't an emergency, would you call back on this number, and they'll give you the number to call back on. But don't stop reporting them, because we are tracking these. I mean, and we've had other towns call and say, how many complaints have you answered in our town? It's not just us, I mean, we can give you a number. And the other thing is, we find that people aren't reporting it and almost enough, because we know what's going on more than they're saying, well, there's no sense and nothing's gonna be done. But we need those numbers to put teeth in this, to take it back before the Criminal Justice Committee and say, this isn't working, you know?
The fire department can't put a thing on it?
This was talked about in East Machias before Jack, Chief, not Chief, Jack Gardner almost panicked, but they talked about, having to go to the fire department to get a permit to do it. And, then that would require basically the fire department, somebody to go out and check where they're going to do this. I mean, certainly you could do that, boy, that taps into your resources as well. I mean, the fire, they'd be pretty busy, and sometimes, and that was discussed. He didn't think that was a good idea,
And
but,
I know
That-
it's part
that
of
is
the fire department,
yeah.
puts out no fireworks, no,
I don't even know, I mean, can someone answer this for me, because I don't know the answer to this. I mean, is there a time, we have fire danger, do we have a fireworks danger? Because I don't see it in this law.
No.
So, I mean, if you have a dry season and the fire danger is high, you can still shoot fireworks, correct? According to this law, you can.
The law is very open.
But yet, so I mean, I don't know who drafted this, but it had to be after hours, happy hour or something, I don't know.
Well, that's something that the town could look into, though, is getting permitted by the fire
You
department.
could do
That
that.
is. That's a good idea, Bobby, but I hope he's not one.
Well,
That's a very logical,
that was something.
No, that is.
Charge a fee.
Good idea.
and that way you'd have the ability, if they don't have the permit or whatever it is, and somebody, that's a
And they're not
beginning.
gonna let anybody in town shoot them off.
That's a real beginning.
If that's something that can be done, it's just but then it taps your resources.
Well, it's a start, I mean, you can try it.
I just hope the legislation doesn't wait for somebody to lose a home and get burnt,
Well, right.
killed, or lose an arm.
Right.
Sooner or later, that's what's gonna happen, because they just wildly threw this thing out there and told the towns to deal with it. That's really what happened.
And the ones that they're selling out there now, if you don't put them down with some kind of, like a nail or something, and they go off sideways, they're gonna kill a little kid, or somebody. They're gonna kill a child, or you said a dog.
We've had some pretty close calls right here in this county already. I mean, really, we have. I mean, there's been some people injured, not severely, but injured, and it's just coming. It's gonna happen.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you very much, and I look forward to updates on signing something or whatever it is. Thanks again.
Okay, next item, Kathy Arrington updates the board on summer rec.
People, these are all the cards that actually have with you. Take these cards, numbers, emergency numbers are on here.
Oh, okay.
That's all I have with me, so.
Okay, Kathy, you're on.
Well, I provided you with a report, and I told
See
you
my home phone number.
some time back that I would come and meet with you and get your questions, et cetera. So,
What are you doing?
I don't have anything further to report on what's in the report, but I'm
Look, I'm leaving. I'm leaving these up here.
Thank you,
My home phone number's not on there, but
thank you, Matt.
Hey, Donnie, did you have anything else to
anything
bring up?
else?
Anything else to
That's
bring
my
up?
bedtime.
Past your bedtime.
You weren't gonna bring up that
What?
letter?
I can join if you want to talk about it. It's certainly a public safety issue, if you want to. I'll talk, if you bring it up, I'll certainly discuss it. I think it's a tragedy, it's a public safety
I think
issue.
it is.
So let's
It's
go.
worth saying it.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Kathy.
No.
I just wanted to, is that okay with you guys?
Fine with me.
You want to read the,
Yeah, I do.
this is something I received this afternoon, I think is very troubling.
You people may want to stay for this.
Oh, sorry. This letter was written to Senator Burns and Sheriff Smith. I have a specific concern regarding the Regional Medical Center at Lubec that should concern all of you. The background, I ran the drug addiction program at the Lubec Clinic. We have approximately 20 patients that are withdrawing from opiates that are in different stages of recovery. I'm the only provider authorized to prescribe Suboxone to these patients. Thursday is the time I am scheduled to see these patients. If these patients do not get their Suboxone renewed in 24 hours, they will become extremely sick. While in withdrawal, most of my patients will go looking for drugs in the street and use crime to obtain money to buy the street drugs. Again, I stress the point that only I can write for Suboxone, and I am the only, and if I am not there, they cannot get it legally. Ms. Hughes called me at 8:10 a.m. She was notified this morning by my attorney that I will not be returning to the medical center at Lubec, and asked me if I would be at the clinic today. Since my contract was not renewed, I no longer have malpractice insurance that was provided by Regional Medical Center at Lubec and therefore can't work. I asked Marilyn what is going to happen to my Suboxone patients, and she said, I don't know, we have to figure it out. I got another call this morning from the administrator of the Suboxone program asking me if I would sign some Suboxone prescriptions. I told her it would be illegal if I did that, and I asked her what is going to happen to my patients, and she said, I have no idea. This is a crisis. Abandonment of a patient or patients is a very serious event, and it is clearly malpractice. Please check this out with the board's attorney. If any of these patients die because they could not get their Suboxone on time, you will have lost the farm. Sheriff, I'm concerned as a citizen that this action by the clinic could be responsible for an increased crime wave. For further background, I put Marilyn on notice over 6 months ago to develop a plan B regarding Suboxone. I told her if I go on vacation or get sick, she needs to have a backup program. I also suggested that idea to the Suboxone administrator. And this is standing by Benjamin G. Newman.
It's who?
Benjamin G. Newman, M.D. I have been affiliated with drug rehab program and drugs all my life, and I think it's a very serious thing that has just happened. I hope that the medical center finds someone to administer this drug. It does make people extremely sick, and they could go on a crime spree to get money to buy any type of drug on the street. I hope that the medical center looks into this, and I'm very concerned about it.
Donnie, is your office?
Yeah, well, no, it's a huge concern because of the simple reason, it's just what he said, it's gonna put people into the street.
Right.
And I will tell you, since he's been administrating a Suboxone clinic at the RMCL, we've had considerable less diversion of Suboxone than we were having here, because it's easily diverted. Because as he says, I think he cut his patient a little in half that he could take care of, but to cut these people off, and not just anybody can do this. You have to be licensed